Okay, any views expressed are the opinion of the guest. It's not a representation because the programming reflects that pole. Politicking with 4 eyes, it's really no competition. Suffocating with the dope, you know I be twisting. Real ninjas out in the field, now we cotton picking. Not to mention our intention to cover topics and many of the subjects. I got more lines than the deli at the Publix. With King Pharaoh, pole politicking, I'm pistol whipping. Rappers jeopardizing hip-hop position. My opposition, intuition, prediction like writers on The Simpsons. To witness the glimpses from higher up dimensions. My bitches be fighting gremlins like Phoebe Cates. Let me cook, stovetop oven, easy bakes. Hydroponic with them seaweed flakes. Yeah, these rappers started from the bottom, power bottom. TD Jakes, unfollowed. Talking about have you ever been swallowed? Regardless of race, color, or creed, you get Apollo'd. We pole, politicking, ticking. We straight pole, politicking, ticking. When it's a great show, you got to listen. Listen to that pole, politicking, ticking. This for the pole, politicking, ticking. We straight pole, politicking, ticking. When it's a great show, you got to listen. Listen to that pole, politicking, ticking. Whole squad on the mission, you got to listen. We pole politicking, it's so dope when it kick in. You can get in.
All right. Welcome back to polepoliticking.com, your home for self-help meets hip-hop. Right now we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X, aka Twitter. 1212. I'm gonna place to be with my man Rex. How you doing, bro?
Peace and respect, beloved. How are you?
I'm good, man. Like I was all happy because I said we did an interview like a long time ago, 13 years ago. So I'm happy to be talking to you again. You was I wasn't even doing it like this. I was just on the phone back then.
Mm-hmm.
So we back.
Yeah, a lot of changes for myself over the past 13 years. So I hope you well. I hope your energy is on high.
Yeah, I'm great, man. I saw you actually. I was like, dang, I know. I said you did a lot. I know. I saw like 10 more albums and dropped since then. At least on Apple, you might have dropped more.
Oh wow! I dropped 10 projects this year.
Oh wow! Never mind then. Yeah. So we gonna just act like we're gonna do the Men in Black thing. Act like we never spoke before. So just if you can tell the people, man, just let them know like where you from and your hometown and everything.
Reks is an acronym, Rhythmatic Eternal King Supreme. I'm from Lawrence, Massachusetts. A lot of people equate my catalog and discography to the Boston area because, you know, I got my kind of footing in Boston, Massachusetts. And in these days, I'm down in the South and Atlanta metro area. I've been here for close to 4 years now.
How you like that?
I love it. I should have done it years ago. You know, it's wonderful to see, you know, Black people striving and thriving, communities growing and developing, and it's wonderful to be a part of that. A lot of my villages down here, so I'm very happy to be here.
Is the music because I'm in San Diego now, but I was from Mississippi, so I remember I graduated in 2000, so I remember around that time. It was almost like the thing, like you graduate and go to Atlanta because that was the scene for music. Is it still like that for you in Atlanta, or is it kind of changed up a little bit?
I think for me, like because I've developed a following, a global following, where it's an underground cult following, where I can, you know, kind of be established and rooted anywhere, and find my footing. Like for the most part in any atmosphere. As far as Georgia specifically for all artists, I think it's still a hotbed. I think it's still a kind of a mecca for you know, individuals up underground or more well established, looking to like get commercial success. Atlanta's a hotbed for all that. So it definitely is a mecca today, just as much as it was years ago.
And then like, how is it as far as with the crime? Because I remember I was actually interviewing his name is Paul Porter. He was the director of BET, and he was telling me about his son was there, and he was like, "Yeah, my son. He always says he has to lock the window at the light and have his gun on him because somebody might try to rob him right then. And I saw a video of Little Baby. They was getting on him by having his windows tinted, and he was like, "No, I can't ride around like just normal." So is it like that out there?
I think the world is like, and the environment is, kind of like reflective of like how you carry yourself and like so what kind of
Okay.
energy you in. I don't think it matters where you are. You could be in Minnesota, you could be in, Czech Republic, you could be in Cuba, you could be in San Diego or Lawrence, Massachusetts. And like we're speaking of Atlanta, it's the same wherever you are. Your kind of environment you put yourself in is kind of what you're gonna get a reflection of. Those in the trap, those in the game, they kind of like become victims of the game because they part of it. I think the environment, if you grew up in a neighborhood in a trap, then like you know how to carry yourself and conduct yourself accordingly, even if you're not part of the game. If you're not part of the system, you conduct yourself, properly, and you're good. So I think that I think now 2024 is no different than the 90s,
The 80s.
whatever it is. Yeah, the
Yeah.
80s, whatever time frame, whatever time and space you in. It's like, what time and space are you in as an individual? Are you trapping? Are you like, seeking out that kind of attention? Are you loud and, flamboyant with your actions? If you are, then you're gonna attract that kind of energy. The savages and the venom comes out when they see that you are carrying yourself, looking out for this, thing that that marries savagery. You know what I'm saying? That marries that negativity. So yeah, I'm cool when I'm in Atlanta. I love it. So it's a wonderful environment. Also, I'm not out like, you see the gray salt and pepper in the beard. It's like, I'm not out at certain hours for a reason. Like there's certain things that I'm attracted to that don't like have anything to do with that.
Yeah, that's what people be trying to tell me now. They be like, I'm getting, like I said, I'm getting younger, but still, it's like they like, oh, I can't go to all these events and cover all these events. I'm trying to be cool. I can't go to everything. I gotta pick
Yeah.
what I go to because some of that stuff ain't for me no more. Like it ain't my thing, so I had to pick and choose.
Yeah, I think for me it was like a lot of times, like because of what we do with this music thing, we have a tendency to feel like environments that we were in were us, and like I don't think it was ever really truly me. I just was attempted to fit in, like to do things that and be around environments that weren't really like equal to like what my message is. My message has always been, you know, love for the art, but very conscious. I've always had conscious music, and then I didn't really surround myself, and I surrounded myself with what I came up and what I grew up in, which is like violent, impoverished neighborhoods that welcome savagery. So that's kind of like how I existed in the environments that I was in. So nowadays, I'm very subdued in peace and about higher vibrations. So whether that comes with aging or if it comes with wisdom, you know, regardless, I'm in a very happy space to be in. I'm very happy to be here where I am
Yeah.
now.
All right, and then I just want to kind of take us back a little bit and just let us know how you got into hip hop and being an MC.
It started, you know, just like mimicking the styles of what was going on in the Bronx. Like I kind of like my age is like the late '70s, so I grew basically up with hip hop. Even though I was like Bronx is like a few hours away from where I grew up. Even though I'm from Massachusetts, like everything we have so many family members who grew up in East New York. We're making a lot of trips to East New York. Back and forth, and it was just being infiltrated into the community that I was in. So I started off as a break dancer. Um,
Hmm.
we were in a group called Funktown Connection (FTC). We started in our neighborhood. We used to break out the cardboards, and we would be out in the neighborhood looking to battle other crews in my neighborhood. And you know, watching film was big, like watching uh, Beat Street and Style Wars, and all of the Wild Style and just the breaking films, all that kind of like, raised us. My dad, my birth father wasn't in the picture, and so like I kind of grew up with like older cousins, and started following what they were doing, and they was into breaking. Um, but I knew that like my voice, I had a message in my mind based on like I knew how to look at the neighborhood that I grew up in, and paint narratives. I think of what I was growing up and seeing in a way that like people could relate to. Those who couldn't really like tell those message and stories the same way. I always been a writer. I was like I was really into English and grammar and being able to paint narratives, like I said. So it was only natural that I became an MC.
And then what year did you drop your first album?
My first album dropped. The album itself dropped in 2000, 2001.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Along Came the Chosen. It was 2001. It was Brick Records, Landspeed slash Brick Records. Landspeed is now Traffic these days, but that was my first release over 20 years ago, 23 years ago.
Now, who inspired you, like, as far as MCs?
Up front and first, it was those like Kumo D and KRS-One, Slick Rick, like a lot of the New York rappers, but like also Cube was a big influence, Scarface a big influence very early on. And later on, it was like a lot of the Native Tongues and a tribe, Jungle, De La, Queen Latifah with the Black Rain album. She was very, very, very powerful, I think. Those early on, really East Coast was like the big push for me.
Mm-hmm. And then you were saying, like, we almost at 25 years of just you being in the game. So what do you want the people to know about you just as a artist, MC, person?
That I'm a refined artist, and like I'm still here establishing my footing to this day, and until I transition, I'm always going to be penning. I'm always going to be telling narratives, and uh, I feel like on the other side of the Andre 3000 spectrum, where and it's wonderful what he's doing and how he's expressing himself and expressing his gift. I really feel like however you feel, uh, you can be able to let it out because we're all artists in some way, shape, or form. Like that's beautiful. But I feel like the other side, I got so much left to say. Whenever I see what's going on in today's time, whatever I see looking back, and as I grow in my spirituality, as I grow in study of science and math and getting knowledge of self, I think I just consistently have so much that I like have to offer to the world and leave, because this generational wealth conversation that a lot of people are having leaves out some of the vocal things that we leave that are going to be impactful for people like 50 to 100 years from now. And I truly believe like I got messages that need to be heard, and even if they're not, are prominent and dominated by this time frame, I do feel like 30 to 50 years from now, they will have their powerful impact.
Mm. And then what's your opinion on generational wealth? Like, what are you speaking about on that topic?
Absolutely, that I think it's incredible that like people are tapped in to the concept of like establishing just the idea and concept of establishing generational wealth, and recreating Black Wall Street and a lot of the stuff that was going on back in the day, things that came after slavery times and convict lease. But I think a message that's really important for me is to start from a foundational level and a base level, and study, for lack of a better term, study your enemy and study the individuals who are your oppressor. Learn their language, dominate their language, and I'm not talking about what they say vocally, what they verbalize, but I mean a lot of the things that individuals like ignore or don't want to be a part of, like in their studies. For instance, a major book for me to read was Mein Kampf, My Struggle by Adolf Hitler. You know, like a lot of people ignore that. They don't want to. They're like, oh, you know, why would you read that? Why would you like? Why wouldn't you read that? In my mind, like, why wouldn't you like study the individuals who have a certain belief system that, you know, is a perspective and a disagreement with how you look at the world? You have to figure out how individuals think and why they establish what they are establishing. Adolf Hitler was on a mind frame of, um, uh, you know, more Lebensraum. Lebensraum in German, like that's like living room, like living space, right? Lebensraum. He wanted to like expand, like that's a mind frame of generational wealth for the Germanic people, for his Germanic tribe. A lot of individuals. Not that I agree with Adolf Hitler in any way, shape, or form, but if you don't, if you disagree with Donald Trump so much that you can't like take jewelry away from the conversation, then that's part of the problem. The problem is that like you don't care to listen to someone who disagrees with you and figure out why they truly think how they think. You have to absolutely establish something in your mind frame that um, you can find relatable things in disagreement. And I think that's what perspective, specifically perspective, is all about. Study Adam Smith and Wealth of Nations and Thomas Paine, the individuals who came before the Constitution, foundational fathers who wrote those books. Who were they studying? What were they thinking? Why were they thinking like they were thinking before they, made these trips to the United States and did certain things? Like, what were they establishing for themselves? And so that generational wealth to me is deeper than just establishing this capitalist system's way of, gaining wealth. Wealth is way deeper than just like, currency.
Well, even with I know like even like a simple thing, like I know a lot of people like I know you said it's not currency, but in the same time, I know a lot of people don't get life insurance, and I'm like, you're gonna die. Like, why wouldn't you get life insurance? Like that's like
Absolutely right.
automatic. It's like you're not going. It's not like you're not gonna die. Like you gonna die, fool. So why don't you like at least do that to set that up? But people don't even do
Well,
that.
you're absolutely right. That's a real clear statement. That says a lot. It's a telling point. Um, in a lot of like specifically Black families where individuals have a tendency, and Black and Brown families, but more than anything, I think with melanated people, we have a tendency to deny and disregard and disbelieve in things that are absolutely essential to like setting our children up and our children's children up for betterment and improvement, as opposed to like being in a difficult space. And you're right, you're absolutely right. Life insurance is one of those things. I think knowing and understanding how the stock market works. So if you don't even want to invest in the stock market or commodities, if you don't want to invest in the change in decentralization or bricks. If you don't want to invest in that, at least learn how to look at a balance sheet, a profit and loss statement, how to look at a cash flow statement, and be able to determine assets versus liabilities. Because this language is a language of like, again, your oppressor and individuals who came prior to you, establishing any footing in this capitalist world. So I think absolutely our language needs to change in how we approach our generational wealth and successes.
Yeah, 'cause I know with me, like I'm pretty like right now I'm good. I understand stocks and everything, but I just look at it like, man, what if I would have knew this when I was a kid? You know what I'm saying? So I think like you said, especially like that financial information, we
Of
really need
course.
to pass that to our kids. And then you kind of said something that I'm interested in because I actually look at my thing like a time capsule. So I'm like doing all these interviews. I started in 2008, but I've been doing all these interviews this time, and then I wanted to be like 100, 200 years from now, somebody come back to this and they could be like, oh, okay, um, this might not be hip hop per se, but they're at least getting opinions of a lot of hip hop people, so they're getting the idea. But I was going to ask you, how are you? Because you were saying you want people to find you in like 100 years from now. Is there certain things you're doing to like make sure you're getting discovered 100, 200 years from now, or you just Like, how do how you think, how are they going to be able to find you 200 years from now? That's my question.
Well, I think the gateway's been open in terms of like the transition, like from what Tesla was on. When I think of Tesla, I'm talking about Nikola Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
how he was thinking about the World Wide Web and what he was thinking of, but he couldn't really put he couldn't map it out and make what became real time for us now. He was thinking about it, but he didn't create it. And right now, what's developed and out there in the atmosphere and in the cosmos, and what's like, you know, left as our current day metuneta, like our hieroglyphs. They're visible on the cloud. They're visible in the world, and right now, and through my children, and then my children's children, I feel like a lot of that legacy is already developed and foundational um, within our own village, to pass on that legacy. That legacy and that information of what I established. Um, I have foundational assets for them, that they can carry on and keep with our village for time immemorial. I'm talking about in the physical, like physical vinyls, physical like capsules, right? But then on top of that, the digital age has created an atmosphere where it's there. It's like it's not it's not simple to erase unless you create a paradigm shift in how individuals look at passing on this information. Like we went from reel to reel to tape to CD to um, whatever else, which now is like DSPs, right? But whatever comes next, this is already in the cloud. This information is already out there. The information is out there. It's really about what I've done with my publishing, what I've done to make sure that I have control over, my digital assets and my other assets for my children and my children's children, that they can pass on legacy wise. And it's within a trust that I think is the best way to keep that controlled. Um, yeah, so
Wow.
I think we as a people need to like really be mindful and thinking about how to create trusts so that like our assets are untouchable by individuals who would want to take our assets, and it's not able to be passed on to our children's children.
All right. So it's 2045. Somebody found this podcast and they're like, "Oh shit, this is tight." And what would you say to them?
I think a lot of it will be what's said already in it is the value. Like if I look back at what was going on in 1914, right? Let's go back that far. Let's go over 100 years. Like there's a lot of information that we can tap into through books, through storylines that were passed on through villages. Like many people think of mythology, they think of myth as a lie. But the truth of the matter is, mythologies are the storytelling. That's how a lot of our griots and individuals who came prior to us thousands of years ago, they passed on stories through storytelling and mythology to like kind of like concentrate on what the people were talking about. If you wanted to really comprehend what metuneta really is, like the hieroglyphs, if you want to understand that, you can't just look at the symbols and determine what's being said. You actually have to practice ritual. You have to actually tap into the metaphysics, the like contemplation, the meditation, the prayer, like all that can be done by going back and reading and listening to storylines of individuals talking about what they were talking about at Jekyll Island when they were creating the Federal Reserve, or when they were creating the International Monetary Fund. All these things, we can look back at the information, but really to tap in to what the people were on, it's not just about getting the information. It's really contemplating on it and really deep diving and thinking about the structure of what people were living in, what they were dealing with. So when people come back 100 years from the future, or the time you said 2045, and they look back at this interview or they look at this conversation, they'll be able to determine where my mind frame was based on what I'm studying, what I'm talking about deeper than just the hip hop conversation. bit deeper than just even the financial conversation, because a lot of what I talk about is spiritually driven. A lot of what I talk about is invested in how I practice my day-to-day living. My rituals kind of like define how I think about finances and think about everything else.
Nah, it was actually, it's funny you said that because I was like, because I've been looking at your lives, man. I was kind of intimidated because I was like, man, I don't think this dude want to just talk about rap.
Now
I can see,
if you
I can
want to
see,
keep it just rap, if you want to keep it just rap, we can, But I think that's part of like that's part of the
the
limitations
growth.
of what we are
Yeah.
as no. I think it's the limitations of us as a melanated people who are children of the sun. Like we have a higher obligation and higher calling. That's just the
Hmm.
reality. The reason why hip hop like is immersed in 5% of ideology and belief systems what Clarence X was on is because we are children of the sun, bro. That's just the real bare tactics. That's the real bare facts of like what we're dealing with. This conversation that we have in music in real form when we talk in language, the language we create, the ebonics, the word is born, the dynamics of our culture is so vibrant and people are drawn to it because of like what is naturally in us. Like we're just built different. That's
Mm.
just the truth. Like once we start to remember it, poets, griots, I mean griots, excuse me, poets, griots, and the individuals who like tag on the walls. Whatever we do, our science is always like profound and beautiful in a way that's like that it impacts the entire universe. That's just the truth.
Yeah. How long? I've been checking out the lives. How long you been doing the lives?
So I took a break for about a year and a half from doing them, but I was doing them for like I did them for close to a year straight every single day. It's personal healing for me and personal growth, but it's also helpful to a lot of people. I know individuals going through whatever they're going through. Like I thought it was necessary to add some of that flavor to like what's going on social media because a lot of what you're getting on social media is the opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of talk of demon time. There's a lot of talk of so
Right.
I'm not attempting to get people to start thinking like I'm thinking or believe in the belief system that I believe in. Like I don't think everybody should be a committed spiritualist. I don't think everybody needs to be practicing rituals. I'm not telling everybody to go use crystals and do the things that I'm on. It doesn't work for everybody. It's not, and everybody doesn't exist in the same time and space. So it's all good. What I really am attempting to do with these lives is get people to thinking in another direction and just like actually taking time to contemplate on how we actually live our day to day. But before we get up, like me telling somebody to drink water or telling somebody to breathe, those are like on automatic. People like do them naturally, but they don't really do them. Like like having a conversation with a female in the grocery store, a black sister, about the type of bottled water she drinks and why she drinks that, and let's have a real conversation of what's really happening. I know a lot of times we're just like, yo, like I don't really want to think about that. I don't really care about that, and that's fine. But I'm doing it for the individuals who actually want to like just tap in and think a little bit more like yo, I don't really trust this system anyway. Never really trusted this system, so why am I gonna just adapt to the system and let it just be the rest of my life until I transition? That's not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave a legacy and be an example for my children, be an example for the people who know me. So like when they look, they're like, oh, he different, or he bugging. Look what he's doing on live. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be a funny moment, but when you sit down and you really tap into it, I really am. I'm fine to carry the torch and do that, so people can be like, okay, I see why he's doing
Did
that. Like
something happen that made you do it, or you just started?
Many things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I think as Black people, we don't have a tendency to like when we deal with traumas in our lives. I think a lot of us like we avoid uh therapy and psychiatry and psychology. Like we don't want to go see a psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist, right? Um, Me included. I didn't want to do any of that. I was like, man, like I ain't doing that. Like I ain't going to sit and talk with somebody about what's going on with me personally. Now, I was a heavy drinker. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure very early on, and I was told like you won't be on pills for the rest of your life. And my mind frame was, no, I'm not. Like I'm gonna figure out the alternative. And what it was is step by step. I quit smoking. I quit drinking. I quit eating pork. I quit eating beef. I quit eating all meat. I quit eating all dairy. Then I was like, it's going to be all fruits and vegetables. I'm going to start focusing on my health and wellness by meditating. I'm going to spend time doing the things that I need to do in my personal life that are going to, construct my cells. I'm going to reconstruct my mind. I'm going to reconstruct my spirit. So I surrounded myself with the things I wanted to be. And it's still a work in progress every single day. So it all happened because, like, I hit rock bottom with my health. I hit rock bottom with, like, how I was like interacting with the people around me. I was only surrounding myself with low vibrational frequencies, individuals who were in a negative mind frame and space, and only really wanted to chill if we was both in low vibration. Then let's go hang out at the bar, let's go do this, and let's live in this like existence that was degrading us. So that for me it was like that's something that some people can do it and live, a naturally chill like existence and be fine. And for everybody that can do that, peace and love, all power to you. But for me, it was really degrading my inner being. I was becoming a negative individual, and I didn't want to be that example for my children more than anything. I wanted to make sure that, like, when they look at me, they can say, okay, this man, you know, uh, it's tough because my children aren't with me 24/7. They live with their mom, and then I get them, for breaks and periods. You know what I'm saying? So that was the toughest part too. When I got divorced and I had to go through that transition. So I'm like, if I'm not gonna be around them 24/7, I need to know that, like, I'm correcting who I am as a human being. So when they do see me, when they do see how I carry myself, that they have an example. That's something that they can, like, say, okay, this is a good man. You know, and that's what I strive for always. You know what I'm saying?
But are you saying when you before you I mean when during the marriage you wasn't a good man
I
or
wasn't. I wasn't. I was very low vibrational. I was
mm,
not a faithful husband. I was not a. I do feel like and my ex-wife can attest to this. I was a good father, and I still am. But I wasn't. There were other aspects of my life based on the traumas that I dealt with, things I saw in my childhood, um, uh, having addictions and like not really facing up to the addictions. I watched my mom struggle with addiction like very young, and then I personally like took on this addictive personality, addictive to the nightlife and low vibrational periods, and drinking way past everybody else and out drinking everyone. And like, I wasn't doing it just like, okay, let's socialize, let's drink. I'm talking about, let's pull out 15 shots, let's drink them. Boom, boom, boom. And then when the club is basically to the last person, the person who's cleaning up, I'm still in the building. And why am I existing in this space? This is how I existed. Not everybody exists like that, but I did, because of my addictive personality, my addiction to like that environment and that energy. And so I needed to separate myself from that kind of living and that kind of thinking. And the only way I knew how to do it is to completely strip away the person that I was being and what I was conforming to. And I definitely feel like, for every individual, you're always going to be a work in progress. But I feel like I'm a consistent work in progress.
yeah, I was gonna ask you too, because then I noticed now, like I guess I didn't notice back then, but I noticed like you had a couple album covers where you were staring at the bottle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I was like, damn, I said that shit. I was thinking now, I was like, that must have been a meaning behind it. So I was going to ask you. So you
Yeah.
said because you was dealing with alcohol addiction.
Oh yeah. Like, listen to that. I mean, listen to what you're saying. Like, I had two albums, Gray Hairs, More Gray Hairs, where I'm actually, one of them, I'm sitting on a stove top. I'm sitting on a
Mm-hmm.
stove, and I have a bottle in my hand, and I'm staring at it. Both of them, like, I'm staring at it. But that's the energy and mind frame I'm in. You know, um, there were periods where I was waking up drinking, like very early on. I had this conversation with my brother Static, like, recently, about the fact that he hit me up, and he sent me this picture or this image of somebody who's well known. He's like a local legend in Massachusetts who everyone knew, you know, except me. I didn't remember him. I didn't remember anything about those periods when we were constantly around this individual who's considered a local legend. And Static's like, yo, how do you not remember that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was around this dude for 10 years. Every time we were backstage, every time we were doing this, like, this dude was the dude who checked us in. He did all this. I was like, I don't remember none of it. The truth of the matter is my alcohol, like my connection to alcohol stripped me of a lot of time periods and like memories that like a lot of people just like, it's like second nature. Like, I'm an MC, so I remember what I remember, right? But there's other things that are completely, I'm devoid of like that connection because I existed in a space like, you know, quite different than other people.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's good you made a change though, because a lot of people like, you know, especially I mean, I know in my family, it's a lot of people that can't beat addiction.
Right, right. And you know, I think it does take, like I said, therapy and psychiatry and part of self. Thank you for like acknowledging, you know, my approach to this because it's something that I am like thankful for that I've been able to like, you know, conquer and master that ego self of um, you know, carrying that weight and that addiction. But for those who can't, like a lot of times, you got to find your form of therapy, your form of peace of mind. And for me, it's been meditation. I've always been an avid reader, even when I was like low vibration. I love to read, and reading was a gateway into me practicing rituals. These rituals that I practice, like with the elements and being mindful of like being outside near trees and connecting with like the reciprocal relationship that we have with the universe. All that is like carrying the weight for me. It's carrying and creating a space where I can acknowledge my faults, but like not own them and say that like I'm that version of me that like existed then. I don't exist like that no more. I exist
Right.
in a new space.
Yeah, it kind of remind me like I always would think about like how Malcolm X like he changed.
Hmm.
You know, he was Detroit Red, or just even like you know, church when people say born again.
He's
Now I realize that's born again. Like you can change and be different. You don't got to be the
yeah,
same.
yeah. He hit his lowest point, and like, you know, El Haj Malik Al Shabazz, Malcolm X is like he's a shining example of like who I like look at when people look at him, you know, that are not our people. A lot of times they look at him in a negative light. I could never, and
Right.
I can't even fathom a conversation with somebody who looks at him like in a negative light and not be able to see the beautiful shining prince that he truly was, the shining king that he truly was, and how he was an example for our people. And so I'm thankful, I definitely look at him as one of the most, if not the most, you know, shining example of how to carry your life.
And then speaking of that, man, like I know you I don't know, you probably didn't, but I would say, did you watch the BET Awards?
I didn't.
Yeah, I know you probably didn't watch it, but I want to say, just what do you think about like where hip hop is at now? I mean, not like I know like underground might be different, but I'm talking about far as mainstream, especially now, is really sexualized because it's like really right now the women are running. I think on BT Awards, it was all women performance. I don't even think I don't remember a guy rapping. I remember it was mostly like the females rapping. So now it's like a lot of women, it's sexualized, money, drugs, killing. It's like where, like you said, vibration is very low right now. So, what's your opinion on the state of hip hop right now?
I think it's a reflective of the ones who are running it. You know what I'm saying? Like the individuals who want to pass on the message of that right there are the ones who are gonna like make sure and exploit that. And the people who are the face of, you know, that destructive nature, you know, I don't I don't personally care to be judgmental about who they are and the pain that they're going through or the pain that they're passing on. What I care to be is care to do is, you know, look at as a learning moment for myself, a time to figure out how to be again more of an example and to when I speak to our people when I speak to all people, but mostly our people. Like my objective is to pass on a message that's like non-judgmental, non-confrontational, non like uh committed to like you know, being divisive. Like I don't want us to be divisive with people who just like people who look like us because they like not in the same time and space as us. Because a lot of us can like do better and get better, and while you're healing, as you're healing, point a finger, be judgmental, and be on a soapbox and talk trash about individuals because they're not in the same space you are. But like, I'd rather have a conversation with individuals, like an open conversation, and see why people are dealing with what they're dealing with. I can't relate to what my children are relating to as far as the world they live in, because they live in a different world than I live in, even though we live in the same world. My son is 14. My son is 14. My other son is about to be 21. They exist in a different time than me. They don't deal with the same things that I deal with. They don't put the same foods in their body. They don't think about spirituality the way I do. They don't look at the things that are going in their mind the same way as me. So because of that, like we're reflections of each other, but we have to look at it and be like, okay, we got to keep that in mind when we're talking to individuals. What kind of food are people putting in their body? Because like that really matters. Not just what they're actually talking about on stage, or how they're showing off their body, how promiscuous they're being. Like, what is being sold? Like, what kind of ownership do they have? What kind of things are used as examples for them? What are their examples? A lot of people don't even tap into Malcolm X. A lot of people don't tap into Clarence X. A lot of people doing hip hop don't know nothing about Clarence X and his influence on hip hop. Many people don't know about what a griot is. Many people don't know about their ancestral lineage, or that there are African communities in the United States, about their native upbringing and connection to totemism, and they just don't know. So if you don't know and you don't have a something to base it off of, then of course the world is going to be like that. And if you have assimilated to capitalism and a culture, and if financial reward is what you're seeking, materialistic rewards are what you're seeking, you're not going to listen to someone like me. They're not going to listen to someone like you. What they're going to listen to is the individuals that are getting what they're looking for. You know what I'm saying? They can be like, okay, I feel you on the Malcolm X thing. I get why you would tell me that. But is Malcolm X getting the bag? Is he getting to the bag? Did Malcolm X get to the bag? Like, what did he really do that kind of equates to what I'm looking for? So I can't fault them. I can't fault them at all.
And then I was gonna say, when you were saying like the top people, that's what they're pushing. Are you saying the record labels?
Yeah, I mean, look at the people who own hip hop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like when we talk about generational wealth, we haven't passed on hip hop. They're having this debate right now about, if Puerto Ricans were there, like, in the beginning of hip hop, right?
Tariq
That's the conversation.
I know Tariq Nasheed got a podcast.
He
just dropped.
He does, and that started the conversation brewing, and then the battle started becoming between KRS and Lord Jamal, right? And individuals who are like the originals, right? And so they can have that debate and they can have that discussion, but that's a distraction conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
That conversation is a distraction. It's a distraction. Like, yo, if we're talking about like the real, if we're getting down to bare tax, what are we doing as far as ownership and like truly like dominating a belief system, and getting people to think about why we need to be like very careful about saying this is ours. This is why you need to be able to say that with a proud statement, because when it comes to like Kemeticism in Egypt, right? Like a lot of Egyptologists, they want to call them, right? These individuals like painted the dark-skinned man light. Prior to that, they did it with the Bible. They did it with everything. You know what I'm saying? They reconstructed the storyline, and they wrote us out of it. And that's the easiest thing they can do with what we're doing now. They can they can reconstruct the storyline so that we're not even in the story. Especially when politically what's going on is ways of dismissing diversity and dismissing conversations in storybooks and textbooks that have to do with, our storyline. That, like, if they can continuously do that and rewrite the narrative, they're gonna write us out of the conversation. So they want to unify and diversify and be all inclusive with hip hop and say, yo, like, nah, it's not about that. Let's make it like this other stuff. But it really is about that, because hip hop is unique. Hip hop is not the same as rock and roll. Hip hop is not the same as any of those, even though they all came from Black music. The truth is, hip hop is different because it's a culture that's embedded in the entire culture. It's like, it's not just rap music. It's not just the music. It's the art. It's the way we dress. It's the way we communicate, the way we dap each other. Everything that we do is a language. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they're attempting to turn other things that are not that foundational stuff. They're trying to take that and make that other stuff hip hop. And no, that's not hip hop. That's not hip hop. So, like, yo, you can define it however you can define it with something else. And violence is part of hip hop. So I got to be clear about this. Violence is a part of hip hop. Sexuality is a part of hip hop. Those narratives are part of the narrative of the communities we come up in. So those narratives are part of it. They're interwoven in the storyline. That's the truth. I don't want it to be about that conversation. Like, I think we need to do better as a people. But the conversation is necessary to be had. That is part of the culture. It is, because that's the narrative of what we come up from. They were attempting to improve upon and impress upon the people that we can use this music as a gateway and escape from the stuff that we come from. But the stuff that we come from is embedded in the culture. Period.
So what you feel about the debate right now? Like, cause me personally, like, I do feel Latinos played a part. Like, I might be a little younger. Like, I wasn't born like when it was starting, but from what I saw Latinos had a part in like graffiti, breakdance, and in those genres. But as far as hip hop and MCing, I didn't see too many Latinos in that.
So, but I mean, is that all of hip hop? Is MCing all of hip hop?
Right. It's a whole thing. Yeah, but I mean, I guess, but then even how you were saying, like, it's a part of our culture. So when I'm saying our culture, I'm thinking Black culture. So,
but to me, like, the conversation is deeper than even if Latinos are a part of it, because first and foremost, people are negating, like, Puerto Rican's bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, at the end of the day, like, even Puerto Ricans some Puerto Ricans deny that. Many Puerto Ricans do not deny that. Like, I just did a song called Fela, which is for Fela Kuti, and I went to Puerto Rico when I shot this video. And the reason I shot it is because the Boma y Plena, which is the sound of the conga and the styles that they do, if you go into those little nooks in Viejo San Juan, like old San Juan, like the old town, you'll see that they're paying tribute to their African heritage. They're paying tribute because they know what they come from. They know what they come from. And so there's many communities in Puerto Rico that know that. There's many Afro-Cuban communities. There's many Brazilian communities. The one that has a difficult time with it is the Dominican Republic, because in the Dominican Republic, they had a dude by the name of Trujillo, who was like basically Hitler of Dominican Republic. And he wanted people to whiten themselves. They wanted to. If you study the history, their
and then watch Sammy Sosa, Dominican, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, like, there's a lot of people who they have the wrong sense of pride and wrong sense of identity. I shouldn't even say pride, the wrong sense of identity, and they don't know who they are and who they use as a reference point. If your reference point is telling you one thing, then you're gonna have a certain level of hatred. But peep game on that. Trujillo had Haitian blood. Trujillo had Haitian blood.
He was hating himself.
Adolf Hitler had Jewish blood. This is what I'm talking about. People, like, your reference point and your pride and your pride and nationality. A lot of that is misconstrued and you can hate the blood, but it's not gonna take the blood out of you. It's not gonna stop it. It's not gonna stop it. So those Puerto Ricans that like people, they have some of that culture and blood, and we just fall into the narrative of like, yo, these people because they have European ancestors. They do. Puerto Ricans have European ancestors. They have a difficult storyline. Their storyline is tough. Dominicans, same thing. Difficult storyline. But that don't change the true narrative. Whether you want to believe it or not doesn't make it untrue.
Yeah, I saw something crazy. I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. But I be watching Bad Girls Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was mostly black women on there, but it was a Puerto Rican girl on there, and she just kept saying nigga, like she would not quit saying nigga no matter what. They just kept fighting her, and I just thought that was the dumbest shit. I was like, Puerto Rican come from black people, but they weren't buying that shit. She just kept. Yeah. So I just thought that was like, I was like, that shit retarded. Like that's kind of like Puerto Ricans is a part of black people. I don't know if they knew that either. Like you were saying, I didn't know they understood it.
But I think it's also the one, like it's difficult to like equate it when there's so many that want to deny who they are. And so when there's a group of individuals who deny it in the Puerto Rican bloodline, and the people who are Dominican, especially Dominicans, you know what I'm saying? I know this very well because I come from Lawrence, Massachusetts. It's like 90% Dominican. Like I know I got the whole storyline. My wife is a Dominican. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like I know the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? I see how it is. You know what I'm saying? I see the narrative and like how difficult it is for people to like tap in. But my wife is hip to who she is. She knows she's hip to the Yoruba tribe and like how these individuals, their ancestors that come are from Western Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like she has also that exploitation narrative. She has a very clear understanding of the exploitation. But there's also the Taino. Like it's a deep story and narrative because you have people who are originals of the land, then you have people who invaded the land, and people who were stolen and taken to the land. You have all this interwoven into your storyline. That's a wild fabric, and a hatred for self is easy if like the people who put food on your table, the people who make sure you have like clothing and shelter. If they tell you you're one thing or you die, then it's not a difficult conversation to have for many. It's like, yo, I'm gonna do what I'm told. And then that's in your bloodline. It's interwoven into your bloodline. That way of behaving is interwoven into everything you do. If you're not a fighter, if you're not a person who will like, nah, give me death, give me liberty or death. You feel me? If you don't think like that, then you succumb. You become sheeple. That's what a lot of people are. They sheep. They buy into the narrative that they're told. We start studying his story. We don't study our story. People don't want to know the narrative of who they are because they was like, yo, you were conquered. We were a conquered people.
I remember I had a friend tell me that because he said he didn't want to know, and the reason why, because like when you have responsibility. Because when you got to do something, you can't be like that you just that's crazy. So some people just want to stay blind so they don't have to take any action.
Exactly. People prefer to be blind and like, yo, it's like, I know this food is killing me, but like, yo, it tastes so good. It's like, yo, our senses are so deceiving and our mind deceives us all the time. Like we go outside and we're being sold stuff the moment we go outside. Like we're being sold food, we're being sold drugs, we're being sold medications, we're being sold on a constant basis, we're being sold to. We're being told a storyline, and no fine print is in every sales pitch. Like there's fine print in a lot of things. When you look at a bottle, you're gonna see fine print. But like if you don't deep dive into the narrative, you're like, damn, yo, I don't really want to know our story because our story is so interwoven in struggle. It's so interwoven in like being lower class citizens. It's so interwoven in difficulty. Well, the reason why we don't overcome it is because you submit. Because you're like, yo, I'm just gonna submit to the storyline. This is why Malcolm X again is a shining prince, because like his whole life was devoted to saying, yo, I'm not buying this narrative, and I'm gonna speak out every chance I get, and that's how I live my life, bro. I'm like, every chance I get, I'm gonna speak out people's narrative. Every chance I get, I'm gonna talk about ways of becoming and returning to who we truly were, who we are. But like the part of us that is like, hidden, because we as individuals, we have a tendency to like just accept somebody else's narrative. I'm not accepting the oppressor's narrative. I'm far from accepting the oppressor's narrative. And that's what our people do. We accept, well, not all of us, you know. Shout out to the ones who are right now in real time speaking the language that is against the oppressor's narrative. I'm talking about the ones who remember Geechee tribe, who remember Gullah tribe, who tap into who we are, who our ancestral lineage are. Peace and love to all the individuals, no matter what your belief system are. Like I don't gotta have the same belief. I don't gotta be a Muslim. I don't gotta be a 5%. I don't gotta be a Christian. Whatever you are, if you speaking our people's narrative, if you talking the same language, we on the same path and trajectory.
Mm. And then, so what are you working on now?
Right now,
the music.
Right now, I'm doing, like, if you look at this shirt, this is
I like this shirt.
Reks drops 33. These are the projects I dropped this year already. The 10.
God damn.
Right?
Okay.
Those are the 10 I dropped already. I got another 11 dropping until September. And then by December, I'm going to have 33 total out. So Reks drops 33 is 33 EPs that I'm working on with people all across the globe. You know, Canada, Europe, United States, Africa, Australia, individuals all across the globe, different artists. I got singles out with like Master Ace, Planet Asia, Terminology, Raz Kaz, many, many more. You know, just like a whole slew of, like, you know, hip hop, you know, legends and individuals that I respect on a high level. And I got a bunch coming out, like I said, again, till the year's over. My focus and reason for doing quantity and quality is to prove that, like, I can do that, like, you know, because I've mastered this art form that I love.
And it wasn't funny, but it was kind of funny because I was actually listening to your EP. Let me see which one it was. I was listening to the last one you just came out with.
The
Magnificent. Yeah, I was listening to it, but then all of a sudden it just it played out, and I'm just listening. I'm like, damn, what was this? Like, he's spinning, and it went to Razcat's Coldest Ice CD right after yours. I'm like, damn, I was like, this Reks too, but it was Razcat, so it's funny you mentioned Razcat, but it just played his right after yours, yeah.
Oh, so, I mean, yeah, you know, it's like, I mean, shout out to Razcat, legend, super ill with what he do, you know, mad respect, and I love when, you know, the algorithm leads you to individuals who are very similar, and
yeah, I think that was perfect.
Razcat's narrative, he was very early on when I listened to Nature of the Threat. I was like, there's nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like this. Even when hip hop, like when we had legends like, you know, other than Public Enemy and X Clan and, you know, Poor Righteous Teachers, you know, individuals like that, you didn't have no narratives like that. You didn't have individuals being, and even so, it wasn't so blatant as Public Enemy was until Nature of the Threat. When he put that record out, he was telling the storyline. He was telling everything I'm talking right now. You know, he's like, he said it in one record. He said it all in one record.
Right. Yeah. And then what would you like to say to your fans and supporters?
I would just like to say, tap in, go to my link tree and my bio or my Bandcamp, and you can support if you're interested in the music that's available now. But just in real time, know that, like, I'm about the people. So if you tap in every rising, I'm on my Grand Rising rituals. We about elevating the people, elevating the culture, and just you know, interacting and having a reciprocal relationship that's positive. So I hope everybody out there is on that frequency and on that wave. And if you're not, keep that energy all the way over there. Like, I'm all about the good vibrations.
What time do you normally start the lives?
9 o'clock, 9:30, just about, you know, whatever feels right, you know, at the day and time. I don't do weekends. I do just Monday through Friday, and then I'm about to, like, reopen and re-engage the people with the joint called Build Pyramids. Shout out to Large Pro and Nori for that song Build Pyramids. Like, I wanted to do a song. I wanted to do a thing that wasn't more spiritually driven, like with the Rising Rituals. I wanted to do something where we're tapping into books like The Creature from Jekyll Island and The Wealth of Nations, and books that tap into you know, politics, economics, and sociology and issues with our story, like that came before Columbus, and books that, like, you know, helped me, lies my teacher told me. all that kind of stuff, like that is necessary to be heard online, because there ain't
Yep.
nobody's online doing the Reading Rainbows thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
I
mean, like,
love
yo,
Green Rainbow was hard.
yeah, I grew up on Reading Rainbow. We grew up on Reading Rainbow. Reading Rainbow was fire. Sesame Street was fire. Like, things that like just like kind of like raise you. Reading Rainbow was the one. But like what I'm saying is that like it's like those are things that we need. Like we need more of that online, and that's what I want to do.
I would say, what you reading right now?
A bunch of stuff. So I'm always reading the Pertem Heru, which is the book of Coming Forth by the book of Coming Forth Today by Light. It's a comedic book on the Metu Netta, studying the laws of Ma'at, the 42 principles, and constantly reading. What am I reading? Black Athena. I'm reading. I go back and read a bunch of books that I've already read. So I reread. I'm reading Flash Boys. Flash Boys is a Michael Lewis book, Wall Street book. I'm reading The Intelligent Investor again. And always reading The Wealth of Nations, always reading The Creature from Jekyll Island, which is just stories on the Federal Reserve and how capitalism works. Yeah, and I just tap into, and I'm always reading the Constitution.
You'll be reading that. And then all right, so I got one more thing, man, and then we'll wrap it up. I want you what you think about these things right here. I'm gonna show you a picture. Hopefully you can see it. What you think about these things, how they just be popping up all the time? You been hearing about that? They just be popping up?
Yeah, you know what it looks like. You know what it looks like to me? You ever see Stanley Kubrick's you ever seen Space Odyssey? 2001? Well, that's what it looks like to me. You know what I'm saying?
But you think somebody just putting them there?
I mean, it just looks like what if you watch Space Odyssey, like the beginning of the film is that that image. Is that image with a bunch of like apes like staring, like they're working. It's like, the dawn of civilization, and then it's that. But like I think a lot of that is tapping into like because I see the images of Stonehenge and some of the original reflections of the cosmos that I think like our ancestors were on, because they were deeper and conscious, so they were able to tap into movement of objects and matter, and I think people question whether the pyramids were built by aliens, and like what they just don't really tap into is the deeper conversation that's happening with consciousness, because I think our ancestors were way closer to time travel, space manipulation, and the ability to see dimensions that we don't see because we're not tapped into light dimension. We're not tapped into like dark matter. And so I think when I see those images, that's what I think of.
Hey, I say our ancestors didn't have no cell phone in their hand all day either.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
They were able to sit down and think more than we was.
Absolutely.
They had no TV, all that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, they had deeper conscience. Yeah.
All right, bro. Well, I want to thank you for coming through politicking with me again.
Appreciate you taking the time with me, beloved. Yo, all the best to you. Again, Reks drops 33. You know what it is.
Yeah, I would say we gotta be sooner than 13 years though next time.
Let's get it. Actually, you say you're in San Diego. I'm gonna be on the southwest side. I'm hoping to get something in San Diego. I see my man Terminology about to be out there, so I'm hoping to lock in something in San Diego. Tap in with me. Let me know some spaces out there that I could reach out to, and I'll reach out to some people in San Diego. Maybe get a show out there.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna holler at my I know my homie, he actually be he can get you in, so I'm gonna holler at him, but I know he just said he about to have an operation, but I'll try to holler at him before he had his operation too.
I'm booked in October 5th. I'm gonna be in Ontario, California. So anytime around that, I want to make my way up to San Diego. I make my way San Diego. I want to do Portland. I want to do Seattle. Do a bunch of all that area.
Try to do the West Coast.
West Coast, exactly.
The best coast.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'll let you have that. Hey,
All right.
if that's how you feel, man, you gotta feel how you feel.
I mean, I did.
By the
I
way,
used to like.
I appreciate you wearing that green shirt. I'm sorry, am I too loud? Oh, my mom just came in the building. Listen, Mama Queen just came in the building. So listen, what I was gonna say is, you wearing that green shirt, and that's dope because we just won the championship. So big respect to you for like
Oh yeah, Big
recognizing
Boston.
and honoring the East Coast, which is not the least coast. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I got love for Jalen Brown because I love like Jalen Brown. He forever got. I'm a fan of him because I like how he jumped on that Big Three All Star game. He was the
Talk,
only one that did that out of all
talk,
them NBA players.
talk, because he recognized and he looks at the establishment of that's another level of generational wealth and black people doing for our people. And Ice Cube is a leader. Ice Cube is a leader of the brigade when it comes to stuff like that. So salute anybody who rocking with the big three. So yeah, we got the chip. Y'all got JJ Redick. So maybe something comes out of that. But we won't have that conversation. Maybe next time we talk about some more stuff like that. We did a
And
deep
then
dive this time.
yeah, no doubt. You want to hit them with your social media and everything.
Yeah, everybody can tap in with me. The link tree is if you just go to the link tree / I am Reks, IMREKS, or you can check me out on IG which is what I'm on the most. My IG handle is Reks Hip Hop, REKS Hip Hop. You know what it is. Appreciate you. Thank you for taking time with me.